Hi everyone, here we are with Nicolas Davalos. He is the founder of Reef Revival, and he's gonna tell us a little bit more about his organization and his trajectory in restoring coral reefs in the Galapagos, which is a unique project.
Thank you, Macarena. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Um, well, Galapagos Reef Revival, it's a project that is aimed at restoring the coral communities in the Galapagos. We have been working in the past few years in Isabela Island to restore the coral cover of the area and test the feasibility of this intervention in the archipelago.
Nicolas, can you tell us a little bit more about why did you decided to start this coral reef restoration? Your project is a few of these nurseries in the Galapagos, and what were the main challenges that you have faced by doing this project?
Sure. So, how did it start? I grew up in Isabela Island. My family arrived there in the early 2000s, and I remember we went swimming, snorkeling, and we wouldn't see one single coral. Nobody really thought that there were corals there. But around 10 years ago, we started seeing corals starting to come back and a small population to grow in the area. And so, yeah, that created a lot of interest in me, like, where are they coming from? What's going on? So around 3 years ago, I started doing my research, and I found out that actually the area once had one of the biggest coral reefs of the Galapagos, but it was totally destroyed in El Niño event in 1982. So yeah, basically these corals that were coming back were the last coral remnants or survivors from this event that had actually survived and were managing to reestablish this population. So that inspired me to maybe grow them. So yeah, by reading and by researching, I found out that this population was actually the last of its kind in the entire Galapagos. So that emphasized the importance of actually not only restoring, but cultivating these corals and restoring different populations in different areas to reduce their extinction risk. So yeah, that was the beginning of Reef Revival. We started with a small coral nursery, which allowed us to test the feasibility of coral restoration in the area. And with that, we managed to establish like the baseline, figure out the water temperature regimes, growing and development rates. And with that, and that information, we managed to expand and create the current nursery we have today and the restoration impact we've managed to accomplish.
How many coral reefs have you?
A reef, it's a complicated thing to reestablish. It requires thousands of corals and decades or even centuries of growth. Obviously, that is the main goal, but we have done a pretty strong effort to reestablish as much as we can. We have reestablished almost 7,000 corals in the area, and yeah, with that we are hoping to reestablish the coral biodiversity and the coral community of hopefully one single reef in Isabela. It's a lifelong project, but yeah, it takes time, it takes effort, but it's working.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why are reefs so important for ocean biodiversity, and how can people and tourists help the ocean biodiversity when they are swimming or doing snorkeling or different activities that they can do to protect them?
So coral reefs are basically the rainforests of the sea. They are the ecosystems that create the structure and the complexity of a forest. Basically, they are called ecosystem engineers, which allow other species to live there. They create habitat, they create the refuge and feeding resources for almost 25% of all marine creatures in the world. Um, so they're basically the most biodiverse ecosystems per unit area worldwide. Sadly, they are disappearing. We've lost worldwide almost 50% of all the coral reefs. And in the Galapagos, we've lost already 97% of all the coral reefs and all the corals. We had in the Galapagos 17 coral reefs, and now we only have one. So in the Galapagos, they're greatly endangered. And yeah, it's really important to protect them, to take care of them. The first thing that tourists can do is be aware. Be aware where they're going, be aware where they're snorkeling, be aware where they're swimming. Take care not to step on them, take care not to touch them at all. Never take them out of the water, never break them. Other things that tourists can do, it's spread the word. Tell other people. Sometimes it's not the desire to do bad, but it's only people don't know that the corals are so important. And well, of course, there's other things like if you're in a coral ecosystem or you find yourself swimming on a coral ecosystem, never swim vertically, always horizontally. Never drag your feet. Try to avoid using normal sunscreen if you are going into a place with corals or a coral restoration area. Always use mineral sunscreen. Avoid using insect repellent. And yeah, just pretty much being aware and being grateful of where you're swimming and what you're seeing, because they're so unique and special in the Galapagos.
Nicolas, please tell us the definitions of what are coral reefs and how is the process of restoration?
So corals, they're not plants, they are animals. They're actually closely related to sea anemones and jellyfish. So yeah, it's a totally different thing than seaweed or sargassum. Nevertheless, they do have a very complex symbiosis with algae, which allows them to actually harbor the sunlight and create and do photosynthesis as well. Corals, they are actually colonial organisms, which means they are not only one organism but a colony of single polyps, which is the individual of the coral, and that allows us to cultivate them in a similar fashion as you would do the grafting of plants. So what we do is basically we cut a branch of the coral and we tie it down to a structure underwater, which we maintain and we clean for a full year. And that branch expands and actually grows to become another coral. It's a cloning system, basically. So from one coral, you can reproduce and create 200, 500 corals. And in that way, we managed to increase the abundance of certain species or certain individuals that are very rare in the Galapagos. And we then, when we have, let's say, 500 corals or 2,000 corals, at the end of the year, we take them out of the nursery and we transplant them to the ocean floor with a special cement mix, which allows them to be to stick and establish the new reef. Slowly, the corals will grow, and they will actually start to fuse together in certain areas, and that will actually start creating a substrate, which then allows the true structural reef to come to life. A structural reef is basically a cementation of corals over which other corals can thrive.
I imagine that you didn't do this all by yourself. So tell us a little bit more about your team and your allies for Reef Revival.
This project basically started in 2021 with the support from ex-professor from the university, Margarita Brandt, which has been really important in the development of the project, and with the support, of course, of the Galapagos National Park, which supported us from the beginning with the permits and allowing us to be able to do this job. Then we actually got the support from the Hokotoco Foundation, which has been crucial for the development and expansion of the coral nursery. Of course, we also had the support of Universidad San Francisco de Quito and the Galapagos Science Center, which have been really important for the development of all the scientific background of the initiative. And we have the pleasure to have a team of locals that work with us. We've managed to train and involve 5 people from the locality, and that have now become the local ocean stewards of Puerto Villamil. So it's been a lot of effort, a lot of work from a lot of institutions and a lot of people that have made it possible and have made it a success.